Hey guys, so I have another review for you here today, and I really wanted to tell you that it's a hidden gem because not many people have reviewed it, and I counted a total of three, at least among the main channels I watch. So Robes08, Mark, Etherealist, he's kind of, I think, a newer reviewer on YouTube. And then Scented Moments has mentioned this fragrance twice, and I do enjoy his picks usually, so I went for it. Blind bought this fragrance. We're talking about Bvlgari's from the Eau Parfumee line, Noir. And, unfortunately, I don't think, so all three reviews had nothing but good things to say about this. And this is not a bad fragrance by any means. I think it's really, really good, but it's quite simple. And I don't think it's really a masterpiece. I also don't think it's a failure. It's just one of those things where, you get what you see, right? And not much more, in my opinion. But I will just mention that I believe Luca Turin has rated this fragrance really highly and thinks it's a good fragrance if you happen to go by his opinions. So I think it's pretty good. I have some specific issues with it that make me not recommend it recommend you blind buying it, and it's not for everybody, and we'll touch on those. So first off, so first off, the inspiration for this fragrance is Chinese black tea. And, the thing about this fragrance is it does what it's designed to really well, right? So it strikes a black tea accord like nothing else. I mean, it is very, very realistic, very accurate. So it's a very good representation of black tea based fragrance. And I think the reason is that there's just the right amount of bitterness. And also, if you think about, tea, it's a very translucent kind of drink, very, clear, detoxifying. So this has that kind of feel. It's very watery. It is an eau de cologne concentration, but again, not, the concentration isn't everything, but the scent profile has a very watery feel to it. Meanwhile, it is kind of dirty and kind of dark, and so you get this black tea scent. So that's the first thing. If you like tea based fragrances, and I'm still getting to explore tea scents, but I'm not sure that tea in fragrances is really for me, but if you do like tea scents, I think this is one to try. The issue is that this one also really highlights the note of rose. It has this very, very soft rose, and I almost get a magnolia type of smell as well, which is not a listed note, but rose magnolia combinations are pretty common. So this kind of very watery, rosy smell that is a bit feminine for me. And the way the floral smell mixes in with the dark elements here, it kind of reminds me of, it kind of borders on smelling like a mature, really, really powerful kind of woman. So think about like a woman CEO, or somebody, I don't know. It does give me an elegant feel, kind of like, it reminds me of New York and Wall Street. So that sort of really, not aggressive, but really, really present, stately kind of scent. So it does have that despite being watery, but in the feminine direction for me. So people call this a unisex fragrance. If you look on Bvlgari's site, it is under the female fragrances, tab drop down, but in the description they do call it, unisex, or they say it's for men and women. So you can interpret that however you will, but I think the scent leans a little bit feminine for me. And that alone is a reason that for me, I wouldn't wear this so much, because I'd much rather wear, masculine fragrances. So the next feature of this fragrance, and you get all these aspects at once. It's not, there's not a huge development. So the next aspect is this leather note, which is also listed. And this leather, reminds me of the kind of leather that's in Ombre Leather by Tom Ford, and I don't own that fragrance, but have smelled it several times, and it's got that similar kind of unisex vibe, similar, very, very smooth and very, very soft kind of leather. So it just kind of adds a smoothness and a sort of darkness to balance out any sort of sweetness that's in the scent. Similar to how it works in ombre leather. Yeah, and there's no roughness at all. So I might have even described it as a different note had I not known that leather was listed. But once you know it's there, you can see how the leather note is incorporated with the florals and the overall tea scent. Now, the part that makes this scent, kind of unique and it gives it that little X factor to me is the oud in here. So they do use oud, and don't be afraid of this kind of oud. You may not even, unless you've, smelled a lot of fragrance, you may not even realize that it's oud, but you get this slight smokiness. And this is not a woody feeling fragrance at all for me. Again, it's all about black tea and this watery accord. But you do get this, I describe the scent as dark. So you have this slight smokiness and a slight bitterness mixing in. And so interestingly, that whole combination, especially with that, the darkness, the earthiness, really smells to me like asphalt after it's rained, asphalt plus the trees after it's rained. So it's got that fresh scent. It's not really an off-putting scent at all. I don't mind that sort of smell, but it smells, I live in New York, and so I'm used to the kind of urban setting, and it smells like that kind of blend of smells that you get after, really rainy day, and then the rain has cleared, and you get all this moisture, right? So this is a very kind of moist feeling scent. So I think that just about describes, the scent here. Like I said, it is, a linear fragrance. So let me just go over some of the pros and cons of this scent. So I can think of 3 pros of this scent. It is relatively unique. I think tea fragrances in general are unique, and the way it's done here, how light and airy it feels, and also utilizing oud, it is kind of unique. The next pro is that it's a very wearable scent. I don't think you're going to turn anybody away with this kind of scent. It's totally non-offensive, and at the same time it's very light. You could wear it any time of day, and because you have this freshness and yet a darkness, it does suit every season, even though it's it doesn't perform like a very heavy fragrance. The scent type is kind of fits this all seasons. And then the last pro for me is that it is natural smelling. So the thing I hate most are the fragrances that really are harsh and have a synthetic edge, regardless of how much naturals versus synthetics the fragrance claims to use, just the feel. And this one is a very, very kind of natural, soothing sort of scent. Very calming scent as well if you're looking for that kind of fragrance to fill in your collection. So let's go over the cons. And despite the pros of this scent, I personally would not rebuy it. I don't think I want to throw it out immediately. It's good, and I think I'll use it here and there, but I wouldn't rebuy it because number one is that I prefer more masculine fragrances. So this leans a little bit feminine to me. The next con is the performance. I mean, it does last most of the day, but I find that there's very, very low projection. So you really, it's a skin scent, not truly a skin scent, but a very, very close feeling scent. And others might not even pick up on the smell unless you're very close. I think a fragrance that aims to be kind of darker, more mysterious, like this one, maybe actually they're not going for mysterious, it's a soothing tea scent, but a darker variation might have been better off smelling a bit richer, a bit denser. I think it would suit the smell a little bit more. And the next con goes with it being a little bit feminine, and it's that this type of accord here, there's absolutely no tartness, and so because of the heady floral tone, it feels a little bit stuffy, a little bit conservative to me. What sort of helps that is the wateriness, but even then, it does have this kind of mature, feminine vibe to it. And then the last reason why I don't love this scent is because it is, like I said in the beginning, quite simple, strictly linear for the most part, and it's you get all the components at once, right? And you get them, you pick up on them very easily, and that's it, right? There is not much magic, at least for me, and it's just that, and I'm already starting to get a little bit bored of the scent. But I will add, I haven't had this for very long, so I am finding myself kind of going back to it a little bit. So we'll have to see, how this holds up with time, but I think that it is on the slightly boring side for me. So yeah, that's my review, guys, of Bvlgari's Haute Noir. If you've checked it out, I'm curious, what you think, just because, not many people have talked about it. So let's start the discussion, and I'll see you in the next review. Bye.